Okay, excellent. Well, I think it might just be our cozy little group. So I'm not, I heard from quite a few that they're not going to make it. So, okay. And so I'm glad you guys are here. I would just be here by myself if you weren't. And yeah, I have a thought about what we can do today, a couple of things that we can do, but I also wanted to just hear from you guys and see where your hearts and minds and Reiki practice is. And yeah, and just see, do a pulse check. And I know, there's lots going on. So how are you in the mix of all the goings on? And George, I definitely want to hear more about your niece and how that all has gone.
She's home now.
Wow.
Yeah. So I need to start doing some. I've tried over the years, but when you're talking to a wall and it doesn't talk back, you just got to let them dig out their own higher good. You know how it works. Um, so she's yeah. So hopefully, being in a religious belief that they're in, and I was in, um, and that's part of it is the guilt and shame that she's always feeling when she doesn't need to. Um, So yeah, you get caught in your beliefs and they can destroy you if you're not careful. Um, so yeah, so it's time to jump in and give her love. I think she's hopefully well, of course everybody else is like, oh yeah, God's trying to teach her something. It's like, no, she took a bunch of drugs. God didn't have to teach her anything. She's already learned how to do that. You know what I mean? I mean, she's been in the best rehabs in the country. And all she does is end up. They had to put it out of state because she was just finding more drug dealers. I mean, that's basically what ends up happening. If you
Yeah.
don't go there and serious about it, you just find new contacts. That's the sad part. So her husband's got a great job, great insurance, and they
No,
refuse.
no, 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 no. Don't bring no, Ralph, buddy.
Is it the raccoon again? You okay, Chris?
I could see the cat. The cat just caught a bird, and so I was running over there trying to keep him from bringing it inside, and he just brought it inside.
It's a gift from Mama.
Ralph.
Have you ever seen that video on YouTube where the lady's sleeping and the cat brings in a small baby owl? It
Oh
doesn't hurt
no.
it, but it's grabbed it perfectly, and so it just sets it on the pillow next to Mom. And she has a camera in her room, right? So it's in black and white because it's night vision. And the owl just sits there, just looking around. The cat just jumps
What's
off the bed,
happening? My
and the
God.
lady's just sleeping next to an owl. It's hilarious. And I've seen where they drop mice on their mom, or right while they're in bed sleeping.
Yep.
That's why I don't have a cat.
I've had a baby bunny brought to my bed.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, what's that squeaking noise? Why do you have a toy in here? And so I flip on the light. Oh, it's a baby bunny.
Oh Lord, yeah, the cats are yeah,
Yeah.
they're special. They're really
Yes,
special
cats
beings.
are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they really are.
Well, and I know Laura has bird things, so I think
Oh,
there's
that
a
was it.
reason.
She was probably
And then
feeling that
last time we
energy.
were on the call, I had the squirrels out there.
Yeah.
So
Right. Yeah.
the the animals are activated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
did I tell you why a squirrel moves the way it does?
No?
You know, a squirrel, he sees his little tail jerking around like that
Uh-huh.
because he don't want the big flying bird to grab him. He wants him to grab the tail. So that continues to move. That's why they move in short bursts because they know that their predator sees them by movement, right? Like a
Oh.
T-Rex. So what happens is if that let's say the hawk grabs him by the tail because that's what's moving, so that's what the hawk sees.
Uh-huh.
So he'll move, the squirrel move, then you'll see him jerk his tail, and he'll just keep moving like he's stuttering. So what happens when something grabs his tail? His body will automatically release all the hair on the tail. So all he has is a little stick coming. All everything comes off except for the where his hair will grow back. So the
Ah,
eagle or
never heard that.
the hawk thinks he has a squirrel, but he just has his tail. And so that's how he
Interesting.
survives from predators from above. Isn't that crazy cool?
That's cool.
It's so
Yeah.
cool. I
I've
love it. There's a
I've
few
never
other ones that do that. Yeah.
I've never
Chipmunks and
I've never seen a hairless tail on a squirrel. Have you?
me neither. I've seen it once,
And
but
I
not
live
many.
around a ton of hawks and a ton of squirrels because we have a
Yeah.
big park across the street. Like,
Yeah. And there's
yeah.
big holes of squirrels there, big ones.
Oh,
I mean,
tons.
I've
Yeah.
I've seen.
seen I've seen them with thinner and thicker,
Have you?
but and
Yeah.
maybe that's an explanation as to
It's
why.
growing back. Yeah, it's growing back. It grows back pretty fast, but yeah, usually it is a mechanism for survival.
Makes sense.
So that'd be a good story or a good how would you call it analogy to use one time. You know, as something in life analogy. Somewhere I should have used that in a sermon one time. It would probably been pretty cool. But so my niece is doing well. I think she may be ready. I don't know. I have to test the waters and just I've loved her forever. I've watched her when she was a baby because her mom was chasing the husband around while he played in bars, music and stuff, who ended up being a pastor eventually. But yeah, I basically watched that kid from like 3 months old till she was 5 because I was a stay home, wasn't a stay home, but went to school. I came home, I had to babysit. My mom had to go to work. So I watched her because everybody else refused not to, you know. We had lots of crazy fun times. She was a very good child, very good. Just ran into that mentality that you're a preacher's kid. And when that happens, it allows them to do what they want and then just blame it on that. And they get into stuff that, you know, it's a mentality they get into. I know I had to fight for years for my children wouldn't have that mentality. I told them you cannot use that as an excuse. You're your own being. You can't blame you screwing up on me being a pastor. And just because everybody's watching you more, because you are being looked at because you're the pastor's child, that just means do your best you can, and that's all you can do. You know, if they want to be that way, that's them. That's not you. You just be yourself and
Maybe,
know that your dad's just there to help people. That's all he's there for. Yeah.
maybe you could put her in your Reiki box. Do you have a Reiki box?
Mentally, yeah, I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a lot in my Reiki
Yeah.
box. I
Maybe
use
really,
it a lot.
maybe just, just for practice and just to see, see what would happen if you really let it go, put it on the altar, which is kind of this symbol of uh, it's your power, that has the influence. And every day I'm going to invite Reiki into my mind and my body and my life and give over all my problems or goals or anything to Reiki and include my box in that giving of receiving and giving Reiki part of my day. And then just see how things may start to shift, or you may get an inspired idea, but it may be different from what you might imagine it is.
Hmm.
And see if you can, it's it's a big thing in your life right now, and I think those can be like helpful initiations, um, for us to learn something completely new about who we are and who the spirit is. And, you know, all those things seem so heavy and so, um, you know, when we have so much history and so much desire for somebody, it can be really, really challenging to kind of step way back. But I feel like even in my practice with clients, that's really my one goal is to step way back and to rest in
Mhm.
Reiki and to remember that nothing has a power over, because I consider Reiki the equivalent of God's love, you know,
Mm.
and nothing has a power over that. And so it's really a matter of me getting my mind out of the human consciousness, so to speak, into the God consciousness through my practice of Reiki. And then whatever kindness wants to come through can come through, but it's not coming through my ideas because I
Mhm.
bring the past with all my ideas.
Mhm.
And so it just recreates more of the same. And it's my good intentions kind of, getting me in the loop. Um, so can I step way back and uh, she has the same power of God's love in her that you do. So as you remember it for both of you, and your presence is omniscient when you're or omnipresent when you're in that space. You're everywhere.
Mm.
And so then just see, and like me, I just resist the temptation to do anymore, more and more. And then I just said, oh no, that my wanting to do is my call to sit back and do nothing and remember the truth, remember Reiki, remember God. And I am just amazed, like 5 minutes later, something will shift, you know? And I'm like, oh, it's not linear. It's not, you know,
Mm.
it's not what we
Yeah.
think it is.
I just want to let it just kind of call and say, I know you, I love you, and I'm always here.
Yeah,
And that's it. Yeah, because because that's what I've been doing for years. Because she has her own choice, and it's not our life to dictate what they should do. So yes, that's one thing I've learned with Reiki that's helped me a lot. Because I just let it go because I know Reiki will do no harm and Reiki will take care of it through love, unconditional love, love that's not have conditions. And so that's what I'm kind of learning. I just step back. So you just confirm what I was thinking about doing.
awesome.
Um, I have them in my book. There's people that are in my box, I say, or in my book that get Reiki every night. I just got to remember to treat myself because that's my problem. I'm rather everything else but me. So I have to realize I'm just as important because if my valve is all my pipeline's all plugged up with George's stuff, there's no way Reiki can flow. So it will still
Absolutely.
flow, but
And what
yeah,
if it's the most important thing?
yeah,
See, I think we're flipping it together.
mm,
All of us
yeah,
are. I mean, I'm now really beginning to see it in a whole different way. You know, and this is one of the thoughts I had for today is to watch this interview with a Tendai Buddhist who's American, because remember, Yusui was a Tendai Buddhist. And so I've been trying to learn more about Tendai Buddhism because I feel like we're missing the consciousness piece of what Usui was all about. That this Reiki kind of got um, interpreted as a technology, almost like a spiritual technology, and um, I don't. I think we're missing something, and so I've been looking for more guidance to either correct or support my ideas and inform my ideas, enrich or give me new ones that make it uh, more full, and see if they're where the similarities are from what I practice on my own, and because it's part of my Reiki practice. And so, anyway, I found this really cool interview from a Japanese guy speaking English to a Tendai Buddhist who is in upstate New York. And it's like 40 minutes. So I thought we could watch that together if you want. And because I haven't finished it yet. So I thought, oh, I'll do that with you guys. And what was I going to say? Oh, here's what I want to say about stepping way back. And it's also related, I think, when we talk about everything related to our Reiki practice, including, psychic information and that kind of thing. Um, what I have noticed more and more and more and more and more is that as I step way back, and it's not always easy for me to, I'm still the doer until I remember at some point in my session, oh wait, I'm in the doer mode. I got to get back out of the doer, back into the rest and contentedness with the fact that I'm in the presence of Reiki and the presence of holiness with this person. And but as I practice and to the degree that I'm successful, what I have noticed is that very different things will come out with, if I say or see, if I say anything, do anything, or see anything, they can be so different from person to person to person and situation. And they can be very minimal, like you were saying, George, kind of just the little light touch. But they can also seem to be almost like things that I don't really believe necessarily for myself. Like I don't practice it that way. And so what I'm pointing at is there's a wisdom that can come through when I'm out of the doership that will be the most helpful and kind for that particular scenario and person. That I wouldn't know how to be that because I
Hmm.
don't know what's called for, you know? And so then my main job, period, and this is where I'm kind of getting to what you were saying about including yourself. My main job is to only include myself, like only, realize that it's always about my state of mind. My healing is the only thing that is my responsibility, in other
Hmm.
words.
Hmm.
Client
Wow.
to client, moment to moment. And not just when I'm in a session, but in my day. Like, and then if I'm in my right mind or in this God consciousness, whatever is helpful can come through. And I'm not holding a consciousness of separation. So harmony can just sort of harmonize, because it's my mind, it's my consciousness. Like, when he woke up, Mikao Usui said, the universe is in me. I'm in the universe and the universe is in me. So it's just like if we can get our minds into that Reiki consciousness, God's love consciousness, that is harmony. It's not like good thoughts need to oppose bad thoughts. It's actually that those are all illusion. Like God's consciousness is the reality. And you don't have to use the word God. You can just say whatever word you like. But because our brains think in words, we do well to have some word usually. You could call it the Tao, you know. Taoism is a good parallel, I think, for this. But then, anyway, I think it's relevant to our practice um, because then we don't need to be so worried about if we're seeing correctly or what to do or anything about anything actually having to do with the session. What we're really worried about, or not worried about, but what we're really focused on is am am I with Reiki? Am I in the Reiki mind? Am I in the holy mind? Am I in the holy mind of God? Am I resting? And if I think I'm a doer, then it's going to get really heavy. And then I've actually limited it at that point. So, anyway, that's what I've been thinking about a lot and thinking about where our tradition comes from. And the fact that he was a very dedicated Tendai Buddhist priest. So he was coming from something to start with. And that did not, leave him after Reiki came on the scene for him. In fact, one of the special aspects of Tendai Buddhism, I guess you could say, that I, at least as far as I understand from the limited things I've read, is that being of service is one of the main ideas. So it would make sense when he found he had this ability to heal, that when he goes and tells his teacher, they say this is to be shared, right? Because Tendai Buddhism focuses on service as a path. It also, and seems really relevant today, and I'm kind of doing a little bit of a ramble here, but Tendai Buddhism is unique in Japan. It came on the scene in 804, so 804,
Oh,
long time ago, by a priest called Saichi. I forget how you pronounce his name, but anyway, and it brought Buddhism to the people because prior to that there was a very limited idea of who could attain the Buddhahood, who could, become enlightened basically into their Buddha nature. That was really only for the court, people who had some kind of royal connection or were part of the power structure. And so Tendai Buddhism actually broke ranks with that idea and said, no, every Buddha nature is already in everyone and everything, every animal, everything has Buddha nature. And very much like A Course in Miracles said, so the mission here is not to develop the Buddha nature, but to unmask what's already there. So to strip away the not Buddha consciousness. So, what if that's also how we think of it? It's like we're not really doing anything except for remembering this Buddha nature that is already in us, joining with the universal Buddha nature, and then we become a very powerful harmonizing influence for whoever we're with. Very much so because they've actually asked us for help, because that's the key for them, is they need to join with that answer because they have requested an answer. So someone who we want to help but they think they don't want to help, that's, we have not, a lesser impact on. But the people that are coming to us are actually asking for help. And so, anyway, these are some of the thoughts I was thinking about in the
Hmm,
last few days.
it sounds
great
like the
thought.
shedding of the ego.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
And think of our bodies as being a mirror of the consciousness. It's the consciousness that our soul is expressing. So it's not real and fixed. It's it's uh, it's unfolding with our consciousness. And so um, if we identify more as the consciousness that unfolds in appearance as a body, then we become more and more at peace with this idea that we're eternal, that we can have appearances of sickness and age and whatever, but they're not who we are. Our strength is in this consciousness. And then even the body and all the appearances in our life begin to take more of that on. They become more imbued with that reality. So, and I was thinking about the no King's Day if you are someone who reads the news or whatever, and all the protests going on today. And just this idea that, you know, uh, how can I hold those in my mind and all the conflicts seemingly, and remember that the Buddha is in everyone on every side of this situation. And then step back from my own ideas and just rest in the harmony in my consciousness. Allow them to be in my consciousness completely whole, meaning completely the Buddha nature or the Christ nature. And trust that that's enough unless something also comes. And it might say, you know, go downtown and stand silently and peacefully among the people, you know, it might tell me to do whatever, you know, or it might, you know, just move me. And but I'm at peace, and that's how I know that I'm in the right aspect of conscious. I'm in my wholeness. And I was also thinking about, you know, just the Tendai Buddhism uh, being a break from the idea that Buddha nature can only be achieved by the court or the royalty. So the hierarchy involved in that, and the us and them, and the, you know, people with the power and the money having all the, you know, the enlightenment, and how that dynamic just seems to want to play out over and over again. And you can see that that's really what's playing out now, is this attempt to grab, you know, grab back the power in all the ways in our democracy. Um, so what does the Buddha do? Does the Buddha fight back? What does the Buddha do? Or does the Buddha just remember the truth? You know, it's not really a question I can answer, but it's a question that's been coming to me. Like maybe this is part of the initiation, like, you know, like this idea of freedom and democracy needs to be renewed in our own hearts and minds on a regular basis. It can't be served up as old, already chewed gum from a textbook, you know, and then we just inherited it. It actually has to be a living consciousness.
Yeah.
But these are,
Awake. You know what I'm saying? It's awakening. It happens if you look in generations past where everything was just going on hunky dory. Everything's going the way they think it's supposed to be. And we get, what do we call that? We get a seared conscience. So things don't bug us, right? And pretty soon, you know, everything's going downhill. It's like people start to realize we're going to lose this stuff if we don't get out and if we don't make noise or we don't do this. But Buddha would just rest in it and go, yeah, people are going to do what they do, and I am who I am. You know, um, that's why I look at it. I don't need to go to a protest. I don't need to do that because I know who I am. I know what I believe, and I can support in other ways. You know what I'm saying?
you know, there's
It's
a
just,
lot.
yeah, Buddha nature. Yeah.
Yeah, there's there's another video that you're making me think of too, that is stories about Ramana Maharshi. Um, and do you know who Ramana Maharshi was?
I've heard of him, yes, a few
He
times.
was
Yeah.
he was in India. You probably would recognize him if you saw him, or you'd recognize Arunachala, which is this kind of triangle-shaped mountain that he was on. He was considered like the silent guru. He mostly didn't teach with words a lot, but he did tell a few stories, of course. And he the title of the YouTube is "To Be Calm is the Only Practice You Need."
Hmm.
And this was a Robert Adams retelling of a story that Ramana told him because Robert Adams was at his ashram for the last few years of his life. And so in this particular story, there were some people from a neighboring city that was a big city that were going to come kidnap Ramana Maharshi. They said, "Oh, you're too powerful of a guru to be tucked away in this remote area that no one can get to and no one knows about you. And we're going to take you to, Bombay or wherever it was that they were going to hijack him or kidnap him to take him to." And so they went away, and the people that were at the ashram, like the attendants, the ones that ran the place, they were just so upset. And Ramana was just very calm. And they were asking, what can we do? Do we lock the doors? Do we call the police? What do we do? And as the days went by because they actually said, we're going to be back on X day, and we're going to take you. And, Ramana just said, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. And he wouldn't do anything. Everything that they proposed, he refused to do, and consent to. So the day comes and these guys are supposed to show up, and I guess there was like a bus of them. So I don't know how many there were. Let's just say 7 or 8, something like that. But by the time they got there, they were 2 hours late, and they were really roughed up. They looked terrible. And so Ramana, is like, come in, let's clean you up, sit down. And so they sat for an hour at least, I think, in his presence. And which is what people did when they went to his ashram. They would just sit in his presence. And then when they were done, he said, or then after an hour or so, he said, well, it's probably time for us to eat. Oh, and he had told the cook, make a dinner for all of us. Um, so anyway, it turned out that on their way, they got within a mile of the ashram, and the bus just tipped over, like rolled down the road. And it happened like twice, I think. And so by the time they got there, nobody was um, hurt, but they were really banged up and very emotionally and psychologically shaken. And they ate dinner, and then they sat again, and then they left. And there were other stories like that um, that he could tell. There were stories when he was younger that he told in this particular one. When he didn't have an ashram, and he was just in bliss on the mountain, and there were people who were jealous of him and would try to roll boulders down on top of him, and they would always miss, and um, I'm sharing it because I'm just feeling like these stories are powerful teachings about the power of this consciousness that is very quiet and is resting and isn't trying to use one power over another power, but is actually, pulled back all power from any of the appearances. And by doing that is now completely at home in the harmony, in the peace that is not of this world, in that high dimensional state of mind. And these appearances have no effect on that. They're not real. They're not a power. It's the power that we give it that
Ah,
makes it seem to have a power. And so, anyway, I think all of this is on my mind. So, thanks for bearing with me and letting me share a little bit. But it seems relevant for healing work. The power can I make sure that I take my power back and that none of it has leaked out into the appearance and is giving the appearances power, you know? That's my part, that I'm home in the peace that passeth understanding, in the in the Reiki. That's why I feel, you know, Yusui said, no, don't teach it, be it. Be Reiki. You know, be
Hmm.
Reiki, rest. Just for today, do not worry. Just for today, do not get angry. He's taking all your power back out of this scenario that I've given this the power that it has over me. So let me bring it back and rest in my Buddha nature, in my Reiki, in my Christ energy.
Hmm.
Easier said than done, but I feel like just like a practice with your niece or with my son or whatever, those are how we're learning. That's kind of why what this life can be about. It then becomes like our classroom. Um, and so that's the purpose it has. Um, So even when I'm looking at the news, can I take back all my power out of that appearance? And Joel Goldsmith would call all of that hypnosis, and that's another good way to think of it. Is it's a narrative that when I believe it, it becomes real for me, and now I see it everywhere. In hypnosis, we learn that we can make you, you know, if someone wants to be hypnotized and agrees to the suggestion that when you open your eyes you will be able to sing like Elvis, then they can do that, and that's why stage hypnotism works. Yeah.
Please hypnotize me now.
Yeah. Or, you know, hypnotize you to, you know,
Wrong hair color.
create a blister on your hand. I mean, there you can do that, you know, or
Yeah.
make a blister go away. You know.
Yeah, the narratives, the CIA book I'm reading, he's amazing teaching human behavior and stuff. Just certain movements, the way people put their hands or touch their knee or any move a finger, it all means something in interrogations, right? But he says when you hear them all saying the same thing, it's a rouge. They're just trying to look over here, because what's really happening is over there. And so that's why I just don't. I know I see the illusion right away because they're all saying hate rally, hate America rally, hate American rally. And they're all saying it, which tells me they want us to look somewhere else, right? Um, so it's hard coming to with the background I had in the military and belief systems to not get rid of it because there's a lot of helpful things, but also to rest in Reiki and know that Reiki's going to work it out. I just need to be in Reiki and it will work out. Don't try and help it. Just let it do its thing because Reiki is powerful and does no harm. I will do harm with this thing, the mouth, right? It's a two-edged sword. You can heal with it or you can destroy with it. So long as I stop using this and use Reiki, everything seems to be going really well. Just because I can feel the love, and that's it. It's what I've been seeking since I was a kid.
That's
And I
awesome.
can feel the Reiki love. I don't need human love because I have Reiki love. It's nice, but Reiki love is more comforting. It's yeah, it's all I need. It's
That's
really kind of mind blowing. It really
yeah.
is. It's hard to rest in it when your brain's still trying to do old stuff. It's a constant battle, but Reiki will win. Yeah.
Well, thanks for being so patient with me and listening to me, both of you, and George for letting me uh, comment on your niece. Mostly, I was so happy to hear that she did um, get better and get off the machine and all of that. And so it's beautiful to hear. And we're all just works in progress. And, I'm sharing a little bit about what it's like on my end, but I'd love to hear more you know, about your practice with Reiki. And I appreciate you sharing yours, George. And it is, we have been indoctrinated from, day one. So, um, I think about Yusui a lot, and I think he was in his 50s by the time this experience happened. It didn't happen out of, nothing. It happened out of a long life of having many roles, studying Buddhism, studying Zen, practicing, practicing, practicing. And then he was ready and available for this experience.
Hmm.
And I just feel for myself, just the Reiki technology, so to speak, without this deeper feeling of the the mind that he was, the consciousness, or linking it with my own understandings. I need them to go together. To me, they didn't they weren't born separately in him either, you know. So um and I'm teaching more lately, and so it's not really part of our teaching that we do. It's like this much at the beginning on the first day. And I feel like for myself, I'm more interested at this point to opening the box of Reiki and saying, you know, let's look a little deeper into what it really is about. Is it really about hands? And is it really about energy coming through hands? That's an aspect of it, but it's much, much more. And it seems like that is really, um, an opportunity in this crazy time that we're in, too, is to let it let it lead us into a much, like, maybe our Reiki God is too tiny right now, the way we're looking at it. Maybe it's much, much bigger and because you're much bigger, each of us is much bigger. We're an aspect of that. And maybe that's why I'm feeling this way, because our time is really pushing the envelope, wanting us to go through this transition to understand this.
Yeah, I feel that in the air. Um, Not an anxiousness, but I can't find the word. Um, yeah, there's no time for playing. Get it done. Right? I used
Yeah.
to say that all the time, Laura, when I'd be talking to anybody, adults or whatever, and they're going on about all the craziness in their life, and I would always say to them, "But how big is your God? How big is your Reiki? In other words, how much do you actually practice this? How much are you really doing? You might talk about it, but how big is it really? This little thing in our heart, how big has it grown since you've started? Or how big has it gone since, we really have to not be anxious, but we have to be mindful that for things to change over, the transition or the transition of humanity or even ourselves takes time. But at the same time, Reiki's saying, if you really dig in, the time ain't going to matter. It's going to
Yeah,
be there. Yeah.
because it's coming from us.
Yes.
So that feeling that you just expressed was one that my husband came home from Maine carrying very strongly. Having been and he was in the military for 10 years, by the way, but
Mm.
he got out quite a long time ago, had a kind of a spiritual awakening as part of the catalyst that got him out. And, but there was this feeling in him that was growing all of this year until May when it just kind of took him down of my whole, and I'm putting words in his mouth so he might tell the story differently, but he's not here. So um, here's how I experienced him and his story that he shared with me. It was a build up to this point in May where he felt like my whole spiritual life has been a sham. And it's that idea in a way that you're talking about, you know, am I going to do it or not? And how have I been living? And that reflects that I haven't really been doing it, you know, like you can't be a little bit pregnant kind of idea.
Mhm.
Like you either believe or you don't, and you do it or you don't. And what are you waiting for? And why are you fooling yourself that you're doing it when you're not? You know, that kind of feeling, right? Not to say it was totally true, but it was how he was feeling. And he kind of had just a spiritual meltdown. And he left for a while and just had to be in his own hole, you know, and just quiet and just be with the thing. And then when he got to the end of that, he could see things very differently, you know. And I think both of us had this renewed sense of um, being, what is it? Kind of doing this, just going around in a little circle. And then like, let's stop. You know, we know we don't need to do this, you know. And that's the loop of time and the loop of bodies and the loop of the world and all its distractions or whatever. And then there's, you know, everything. And this is just a little imaginary loop inside of everything. All good, all harmony, all power, all eternal life. And you know, that sounds all biblical, but just imagine there's no real death, you know, whatever that, you just contemplate it. What would that be like? So anyway, we both kind of felt that. And I think it reflects too, it isn't being caused by, but it reflects or it has a relationship to the things that seem to be going on in the world. There's never, maybe that we know of, been a time that mankind would has been in that's been quite like this one. There may have been other ancient civilizations where this is just another big loop, a 10,000-year loop, but we don't have that history to know for sure. But in our ability to know history for sure, there's never been a time like this. And so, but maybe we're ready. That's kind of my point today. Like maybe we have everything we need. And you know, I'm thinking of Cynthia Sue Larson right now, and also I've been really informed lately by her work on understanding the Mandela effect and the quantum physics that inform it. And so maybe at some point we'll talk more about her and her work, but just recognizing this is a set of appearances, but the power is that we're the projector. And so as we pull our power back and remember the light and ask a new question like she asks, how good can it get? You know, how can I help? How good can it get? And then keep pulling in any energy that goes out to the appearances that and interpretations of anger and all of that. If we keep, no, you know, that's, I've given it all the meaning it has. Let me pull that power back, pull that power back. Then we don't need to design what happens next, but we know more light happens next. You know, we've changed the reality. And the Mandela effect, you could say, is just this weird way in our in our experience that even memories turn out to be completely wrong, you know.
Hmm.
And so it's just showing us in a very powerful way the reality we see is not reality. So that is even more good reason to quit making it our reality, to go back deeper inside of ourselves, find the refuge inside of ourselves, that peace that's not of this world, because this isn't reality, but there is reality in you and in me. Find that, rest in that. Let the stream do whatever it does, but it'll, by my harmony, it'll come more into harmony because it's a projection. And then, you know, all kinds of weird things can happen to self correct. You know, you might wake up tomorrow and it's a completely different world, like I did one day when, you know, I've told you my story. Anyway, I think what we're doing is very powerful.
Yes.
I'm going to put on the, well, Chris, we didn't get to hear from you.
Where's Chris? We've got to hear about her cat, but nothing else.
The cat, yeah, he was playing with the bird for a little while and then took off. So when we take a little breather, I'll remove the bird.
And how is it for you in your reality?
Oh, yeah. Well, last time I shared I had taken a couple weeks off work and then I went in and then I couldn't see. And that was interesting. And then this last week I worked a couple days and I did not want to be there. Nothing bad happened, nothing was said, there was no incident, but I did not want to be there. So I think something is shifting and I've just asked the universe, Reiki, God, whoever, what's my next step?
Oh, wonderful.
So I am open to what that is. And it is showing up in my body as well, uh, with some pains and, un, you know, not enjoyable sensations, but I'm working through that.
Something's working itself out.
Yeah, something is working its way out for sure. And I
Wow.
feel there's I feel the shedding of the ego. There's I'm, waking up at midnight, 2 a.m. was something on my mind. So I get up and journal it out or whatever. And usually it's something I need to let go of.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yep. So I think I think what I'm experiencing is reflected in what the whole world is. I think if we're open to it, we're all going through that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm figuring it out.
Yeah. Wonderful. And then you get to be the midwife for the ones that follow you, you know?
True. Yeah, I feel that for sure. If you pay attention to what's going on in the world, it seems so crazy and chaotic and wrong and all the things. And then when I leave my house, it looks pretty normal. It's an odd. It's an odd sensation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is like that.
Yes, it's like there's just a collective uh head in the sand kind of thing for
Either that or the other idea that I had as you were talking was, what if there's just this little tiny noise box that wants us to think there's all this horror going on?
uh-huh.
But, where? Show me. And I know,
Yes.
I don't want to, minimize for the individuals where it's happened, but
Right.
there's so much drama,
Right.
which is different than facts.
It is. And
Yeah.
that leads me to realize a lot of what what's coming up is not true. It's literally not true. These long held ideas and patterns and beliefs I've had, they are not
Literally
true.
not true.
Yeah.
Not true at all. And it's a big shift.
That's that's so cool. That's forgiveness,
Yeah,
to see it never was true.
right. Right. And it reflects, maybe something that now that I see it, it's like, well, I'm not very proud of that, but I didn't know, I didn't know what I didn't know.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and
And
then
even even that even
that's
that
what
didn't really happen in a way.
right.
Because
Yeah.
the you that you really are and that I really am underneath hasn't ever been changed.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
it's really profound. You're also reminding me of Adyashani, and I remember what one of the things that he said that's really never left me was, and I might have said it before here actually, was, what if nothing you ever thought was true? And well, how he said it was, I mean nothing. I mean nothing you
Yeah.
ever thought. Nothing was ever true.
It's a very real possibility. It really is.
I love the way you
Oh,
say that too, that you're going to investigate, not just take it on as another belief.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you have to go down a few layers. Like, why do I think that? Where did that come from? How is that showing up? How am I benefiting from believing that?
What will I lose if I stop?
Yes.
I sometimes ask that.
Yeah.
What does it cost me?
Yes.
we're changing our minds. That's what's happening. We're getting
Mm-hmm.
rid of the programming and finding the real us, the real you, the real me. Because yeah, beliefs, they were helpful at the time, right? At
Uh-huh.
the time in the moment, there's something that might have been helpful, maybe direct us of a different direction instead of me getting heavy into stuff I shouldn't have gotten into, but because of my belief system kept me safe from that. That's in quotes safe because really what is safe, right? And the programming, I mean, it's just there. We have to get rid of it to find what really is real and true.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
was watching some stuff this morning about the Rockefellers in the 20s and how they really did a number on us. And uh it it's really quite mind-blowing. Um yeah, they've really altered our path
yeah,
for sure with
just
their
in 3 meals a day.
power and influence and money and I feel like that's what we're going through now is
Mhm.
those with the money and the power and this I think they have a lack mindset. They they just can't see that when we all do better, we all do better. they think that they need to make us be less healthy or less wealthy, whatever, what have you, in order for them to possess those things. And it couldn't be more wrong. But that's where we're at.
Yeah, they didn't look at history because same
No.
things happened before, and it ends up failing. So, but if you keep the sheep afraid, they're going to listen. They're going to follow the dog barking behind them because of fear, right? That's how you keep a sheep corralled. And that's what they think. But they thought if you think you have people divided enough, then you make your move to try and control everything. And they always make that mistake. They'll lose. They're going to lose because people will finally find enough to unite them, then to divide them and realize that we've been yanked around by a chain and we don't have a chain on. We just thought we had a chain around our neck. And we start realizing, you know what? We're going to be who we are. And it's sad because it's all just the thing that they're doing. But we have to do what's right in ourselves. And if everybody does that, we'll be okay. But it's just sad to see it happen because I see
Yeah.
it. I see family members I don't even know anymore. And it saddens me. I still love them. I care for them. But at the same time, in my contract in life, um, I did what I was supposed to do. And I still am related, I guess, to them. But um, I just love them like I love everyone. And, I don't love them any more, any less. I just love them like I love anyone. And it just keeps me from feeling sad because they're in trouble, or sad because they don't have no money, or sad because I just say yeah, there's nothing I can do. You got dressed, I didn't dress you, so deal with it. I have to. So it's not the being cruel. It's just you can't fix somebody that doesn't want to be fixed because we're not fixers. And
Yeah.
that's the bad thing about a doer. I've been a doer my whole life. I dealt with the frustration, the resentment, the anger, but I know Kyodakiwa, right? In Karuno. I will not be angry today. I do that. I do it in Japanese every day and every night. I won't be angry. I won't worry. I will be grateful. I will work with integrity and love no matter what I do. And I will be kind to myself and others no matter what. And I remind myself it's just for today. And that way I don't have all this anxiety about tomorrow. Because when we transition, we'll be able to see the truth. And that's what I think a lot of people are going through on earth right now. We're transitioning to the truth. Um, and why I say that is because there's so much non-truth out there that people believe is true, right?
Right.
And it's sad because they turned us into they tried to turn us into sheep. But even through our education, we have to think critically and ask questions just like you did. Why do I do this? Am I doing it because people will like me better, or that it makes me feel good inside because I don't go to the doctor in sweats and dirty t-shirts? I dress up a little bit. Why? Because you're going to act the way you feel. And I tell people, if you work from home, dress like you're at work. Your mentality will change. You'll see yourself different because you're not sitting around in sweats trying to work on the phone with people. You're actually dressed up like you went to work. So your mentality changes. So that's why every day we should tell ourselves in the mirror, I love you. I love you. I forgive you. And you can conquer body and mind. I do that every day because I believe one day it will be true. It's something we work at as human beings. We're very special creatures. They've tried to just let us know that we're not divine, but we are divine beings.
What if
And
they're just
they just kept us
reflecting?
down. Yeah,
Sorry.
we're reflecting what's in the mirror.
What if they're
Yes.
just reflecting our mind? That's the thing I always have to come back to
Yeah.
is that but I do remember there was a time when all of my and maybe this is what Chris is saying, but I don't want to say it is. She can correct me but this was just true for me. Um, 20 years ago or 15 years ago. I remember when I had to come to the understanding that all the things that I thought about the country I lived in were false, that there was this hidden, story that I never knew about. And I knew the propaganda story or whatever story, but it wasn't true. If you scrape the surface a little bit, it was actually awful. And that there wasn't really democracy like I thought. And it went on and on and on. And all my sacred cows got, you know, um, and that was very, very painful, I remember. And I also felt very alone because in that time there wasn't a lot of discussion about those things. It seems
True.
like there is today. Every eighth grader knows all the conspiracy theories and um, so, but maybe also what it does is sort of level the playing field and make it even more simple in the sense that we don't need to try to save this reality. It's actually the ego's reality. And it's not real. So it's lowercase r. And it's always based on those ideas of power over. And if I give, I have less. And there's only so much to go around. And um, take what you can. Um, might makes right. God's basically a white guy with a beard. So if you're not a white guy, then you're lower. Yeah, sorry. Sorry, George.
That's God to you, young lady. That's God to you.
um, and all of that. Um, like that's a whole the idea that there are different bodies and the hierarchy in that and the different colors of skin and different levels of education and different. Anyway, all of that is not the Christ kingdom, not the Buddha nature. All of that is an appearance. And for me, I think that I had to I had to come to terms with this belief in me that even though I may have been able to feel like I knew that truth, I still felt like my country is still better somehow. You know, it doesn't stoop to all the same lows, or my family, or my education, or my whatever. And then I had to just see no, the whole thing is a failed mission. It's a failed thought system, and it always ends up in cruelty of some kind. It that's its nature. It has to because it's a separation thought system. So so then so then I've got to own my own separation thought system, and I've got to turn away from that every time. And so that's the dying daily. That's the dying of the ego. That's the and questioning everything as it comes up. But anyway, I just remember, and it still can be very painful. It is very painful in some ways now to see what's seems to be happening. Although I can't find it on my street, but I hear it's happening on other streets.
Right.
But yeah, um, having had reality shifts in my life, one huge one, I've been really thinking about it a lot because I feel like maybe the one of the blessings of it is, or even more, not, I don't want to say more important than getting to keep my son in my life, because for me as a human, that was very important, of course. But even more important as a soul is the idea that this is not a real world. So those histories, like I was watching Ken Burns and the Civil War history, or maybe it was how the West, I think is the name of it. It's horrible. It's like more Indians were killed and slaughtered by your family and my family, as they were moving out from the East Coast. They were the
Christopher Columbus killed 94% of the indigenous people that he came across.
Yeah. And we know that there were huge civilizations in the like
Mhm.
Great Lakes area, cities of 10,000, Cahokia, right? Um, anyway, it's just, and we know that before the white guy was there, the Indians were killing and scalping each other too, you know? And
Human.
so, and the Aztecs were slaughtering the Mayans or, whatever. So, the good news is what I was pointing at before was um, when you have a reality shift and all of a sudden what happened couldn't have happened by the conditions that are going on now, or the memories that everybody shares are different than the memory, or a big chunk of people share one set of memories that are very different from another big chunk of people's memories. Those kinds of events are very helpful in our time that we're in to accelerate our acceptance of something, which is that this is not real. So, therefore, we don't have to atone for the past. We have to be squared away in the present. Like our mind has to be in the right place now, you know. And so, this is the only reality there's ever been, is right now. And then, yes, we seem to be watching this appearance unfold, but this appearance unfolds according to the mind that I'm in now. So I think I'm harping on it, maybe because you guys are a captive audience. And if you want to delete yourselves out of the room, go ahead. But I think it's important right now that we
Yeah.
allow for our quantum physics and our spirituality and our Reiki and our eons of Buddhism and everything else that's been telling us, our Course in Miracles, that's been telling us, wake up. This is not real.
Yes.
Take a stand in the present, which is the only time you have. Take a stand for the truth and then feed that relationship that you're creating, the one in this moment with God or the God of your understanding, whatever the word is that you like, the Christ energy, the Buddha energy. You could call it the Arcturian energy. It doesn't matter what you call it, you know. And that's another area that's informing our life. These ideas of these enlightened or highly advanced spiritual beings that are seemingly visiting our planet. Okay, maybe that's our future self. Maybe that's our deeper Buddha wisdom coming in a way that we can see in this experience that says, no, you are one with matter. You're one with the ship. That's how we fly the ship. We're not different than the ship. That's how we join with you, as we know you as ourselves. And Um,
That's
anyway,
awesome.
okay. I love George's gift with our tools. You make me laugh.
So, Chris, how far are you from Port Orchard?
Oh, I'm a couple hours
Okay.
from Port Orchard.
Yeah, I have children there, grandchildren. So,
Oh, yeah, it's a lovely place.
yeah, they moved from the peninsula, Port Angeles, that's a couple years now. Yeah, at least 2 years
Mhm.
now they moved there. My daughter works at a big nonprofit for, is that a big spider hanging there? Holy Moses. That's a big spider hanging there. Stay outside, buddy. Big spider hanging outside my window. He's probably frozen. Um, yeah, so they moved there. It's a big nonprofit Christian orphanage. She helps people find kids find families and stuff. So she enjoys that, and he's a pastor doing something. I don't know. They're both pastors. So, but
Ah,
yeah, so yeah, I lived in Portland for 5 years. I enjoy.
uh-huh.
Well, actually, it was Tualatin before it turned into money. There's a lot of rich people in Tualatin now, but I lived there. I enjoyed the people, the environment.
Yeah, Portland's a neat
I really did.
place.
Yeah, I just enjoyed. Um, I enjoyed the Northwest. It's just really just nice.
Hey, you guys, let's
Yeah.
instead of doing a video, because it seems like the energy has shifted for me anyway, let's do healing work. How's that? And just go around and we can do two on one. Would you
Okay.
guys like to receive some Reiki and give some Reiki today? Okay. And do you need a break? Like a
Yes, please.
5 minute break?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Save the bird! Save the bird!
Yeah. No, the bird's dead, but the bird's going outside. Bird's,
Aw,
yeah. Uh,
wrong place, wrong time, birdie.
yeah.
Yep. Which
I have some water that is boiling, so I'm going to wait for a second. Thought I'd turn my camera on anyway. But I have a question. I have this wondering about this mentoring program. A lot of people haven't been coming. This is for anybody who watches too. Um, they, I'm wondering if it has outlasted, it's done what it needs to do for people, and maybe it's time to discontinue or change it, or um, and I'm really, really open because I want to fulfill whatever request is out there in the community, in the little community that we have, and be helpful to people. I think what I'm feeling is that my heart and mind is moving a certain direction, and I don't want to be dragging people with me who don't want to come with me. I'm really, as you can tell, kind of focused on the deeper consciousness that I feel is the foundation out of which Reiki manifests. But I'm discovering this. This isn't something that I can, you know, learn from another class that I can take or anything. And the other thing that I've noticed is, you know, we haven't had a lot of Reiki questions. People may or may not be doing a lot of actual Reiki. Um, so that's one thing. I know it's probably pretty helpful to be able to come to a class now and then, and that's great. Um, I love the fact that this program makes that possible because I think that's really important, and it's really part of the tradition of Usui when he set up the Kakai. They were getting um, what they called reijus, which are like blessings. And the more I'm learning about the original Reiki, the more I'm realizing he was helping his students develop this consciousness. A reiju wasn't really an attunement that gives you a healing energy, as far as I can understand. It was really a blessing for the person to unfold and to heal. And that unfoldment and healing would make the energy, this divine energy, more accessible and available to them. There's a lot of different stories out there, and there's a lot of different understandings in the West. And the Gakkai themselves are very closed, and they don't talk a lot about their practices and their history. And so, what we get is sort of piecemeal. Um, so anyway, it's anybody listening to this after the fact on the recording. I'm also wanting your input. I asked for some topic ideas not too long ago, and nobody actually replied. And so that just tells me there isn't a lot of burning interest or unanswered questions, maybe. Or maybe people are finding that what they're doing is just fine, and they're content, and they don't have a they don't have a need to change things or do something different. But I'm just kind of wanting some feedback because I've been doing this for a year and a half almost, and I don't think I've opened it to this kind of feedback. Like, do we need to keep doing this? Is this still helpful? What do you like? What would you like more of? What would you like less of? Um, it's really more your program in a way. So I should, I want to be collaborating with you guys. And I'm going to pour my coffee while you think of a response, if you have one.
So what kind of cat do you have? Is it a tabby? Is it I mean, what is it? The
Oh,
color?
so I have a boy cat and he's a Maine Coon. And then I have a girl cat, and she's a tabby. But it's a variation of that. She's very light gray and very tiny, and yeah. So they are both indoor outdoor cats. So I have a litter box, but they don't use it. And that is delightful. However, the downside of that is they have access to outside and bring things in. And I may or may not know where they are for, you know, even a couple days at a time, which doesn't always feel that great. But
Yeah.
yeah, so they're living their lives, and it's a bit of an exercise in giving up control, because I don't control them in any way, shape, or form. Um, and I I like that. I appreciate that way of being. They can come and go as they please, and I do the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they have the human when they need it, and that's what matters, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's it's yeah, that's really yeah. Cats are great. Had some when I was a kid, but it was my sister's cat, and they love when they're kitties, but when they get older, young girls. I mean, my sister's like, "Oh yeah, we have a cat now." Okay, well, who's gonna help that cat now that you're all grown in, chasing boys now? You know what I'm saying? So I ended up adopting a few of my sister's cats, which I've never actually had one from like that's my kitty. I just got one.
Uh-huh.
Um, I used to play with them at the shelter all the time. I'd go in the cat rooms and have a blast with them.
Oh
I used to have
yeah.
a great time, spend hours in there. They have big cat rooms here. Some of the cat rooms look like a kitchen, you know. So they're laying on the counter, or they're watching the birds they're swatting at the TV because there's birds on it. They play all day long just to keep them busy until they get adopted. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Um, so that's I get that out of my system when I go do that. So I don't want to have a cat at the house. So I play with about 30 of them. So I don't want to have a cat. I mean, I wouldn't
Yeah.
mind a cat, but they're special beings. They're
Yeah.
really fun to
I
observe.
They're very
Yeah,
spiritual, I think, and they provide a certain amount of protection, and I
yeah,
think they see things that I don't see, and
yeah,
so,
yeah. And Egypt had them around for that reason. They're spiritual beings.
yes, very much
There's
so.
something different than a dog or anything else. They're special.
Yeah. And I think I
And
texted Laura one time. I was sitting roughly where I am now, and just maybe 8, 10 feet away, um, one of the cats um just appeared and disappeared in an instant. Um, and I know that happens. I think I think they have a dimensionality to them. I think they travel to other
yeah,
places for sure.
yeah, I think they
So
do too.
it was pretty cool. So yeah, and so I'm prepared to answer your question, Laura, if that's feels like the right time
Sure.
to do that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm the best person to ask because I'm fairly new. And I'm enjoying it a lot. I know I was invited a while, previously, and I don't know why I didn't join then. I have no, I can't explain that, but I'm very much enjoying it. And I think, you know, particularly when you and I have an interaction, there's a magic to it. Um, and I'm not practicing Reiki as you are. I think it's present with me all the time, but I am not, you know, uh, I'm very much looking forward to the animal Reiki. Uh,
Yes.
yes, very much so.
Yeah, George is going to be in it too.
Oh, great. Yeah.
And
So
another
that's
woman
my
will just join.
input. If this changes form, if it becomes less formal or whatever, I know that you and I will find a way to connect when it's called for. So whatever you're called to do, I'm all in.
Aw, thank you,
Yeah.
Chris. I appreciate your
Yeah.
comments
But I
a
don't feel
lot.
like I know the others in the group
Yeah.
that well. I'm certainly enjoying the few that I have met.
Well, good. I'm glad.
So
And
yeah.
I just want to I'm take people's just take the pulse because it's been a year and a half, and is this still valuable? What do you want to see from this time that we have together? I know Saturday morning is precious time, so yeah, I just sometimes I feel like I'm just kind of dragging you along my thought streams for the day, and I'm not always, at least today, I'm not confident that's what people really want. So anyway, um, thank you.
Yeah, I think it's what I've experienced is valuable to me.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing that. That means a lot to me. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
How about you, George? Not to
How
put you
about
on the spot. You can always just
put me on the
off
spot
mic.
always?
You can just
Sis, if you look, how many have I missed? Yeah, tells you right there. Mentorship is mentorship. You're mentoring, right? It's one of the reasons why I saw that on your website, and I was like, that's who I'm going with. Because I needed that because I didn't have it before. And it reminds me that my practice is important to me and that I can come and learn a few times a month from my teacher and from the people that have taken the course. That's mentoring, right? Um, that's what it's about. So I learn something every time. I'm excited every time just because the energy that comes through the computer. I mean, it's just like sitting right there. And that's one thing nice about technology. But no, yeah, I say let's rock. I mean, I love it. I personally think it's fine. Um, Saturday mornings are hard, but for someone that maybe works 40 hours a week or 60 hours a week and Saturday mornings precious, my mind is like, yeah, I need that energy because I've been wore out all week long. I need that Reiki boost on Saturday mornings. Yeah, I clean my house on Saturdays, man. It's gotten into my house cleaning time, and I'm really religious about that, right? And you see where I'm at because that's way more important than mopping my floor.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying?
Thank you,
So
George.
that's how I feel. That's how I
I,
feel.
I feel both of you deeply. And, we started with just a few, and if people leave, that's totally understandable. And if people are getting a lot out of watching the recordings, hey, that's fine too. Of course, it's nice when we have a way to interact together, but I'm really just, trying to see where the wind is blowing, make sure that I'm not completely off course from where you guys are. And, I do like the feeling of a collaboration. It's why I always love my one-on-ones with people because I'm tuning into their energy and they're tuning into mine, and we're kind of, um, something beautiful is happening in that joining and in that sharing of energy. And so on that note, if you'd like to tell me more about things that you'd like to learn about, um, or talk about, maybe just have a conversation about, then I would be happy to make that happen. And, again, the offer is out there that if you have an area that you want to talk about, like, nobody got back to me on setting a date, but George can talk about pain and Chris can talk about conscious uncoupling or something else, I think was the emotion
Oh
code.
yeah, I ordered the
Um,
book and I
okay,
got
good.
it. But
And it's not to put
so
anybody on the spot. That's not my
no,
intent.
it's inspiration is lovely. Yeah.
Okay, good.
So, um, Yeah, so but I do want to review that book. So when it comes, I
And
will
I
read.
think what I'll do is I'll just give myself a little more structure and, I do generally try the day before at least to have an idea of what we're going to do if I haven't already said that. I mean, there were a few months where there was a regular list of topics because I was making
Mhm.
my way down, you know, a group of suggestions. So now I'm coming up with them and I can continue to do that. Um,
It seems like our check-ins are very valuable, and then that kind of sparks where it's
yeah.
going to go.
Well, good. I'm glad. I think that I am really happy to hear that. I don't think that. I know that because um, there's a little doubt in my mind, self-doubt about me. Like I don't want to be the hall monitor to other people, and uh, I want to be so respectful of all the different places we all are, because I'm a million different places in a given day too. So I want to, if let me just make a blanket apology if I've ever seemed to correct anyone in a way that wasn't helpful. I really apologize because I think that's been on my mind, and that's why I want to rein myself in a little bit. Um, but I'm really happy to hear that the sharings are useful. It stimulates me, and then I feel like I don't want to be coming across because I'm actually in a dialogue with that person in my mind, and there's like a collaboration, and I'm applying something that's coming up in my mind, but that might not be the most helpful thing. They might just want to share it and not have a big comment about it. So, um, yes, this is me being completely raw, unfiltered, and just telling you what's going on in my heart and mind this morning. Um, so every
It's
once in a
lovely
while,
to
you just
have.
got to take a pulse, and see what's happening. It's like any relationship, right?
Yeah, it's very authentic. I love how how the check-in, yeah, how you are checking.
Oh,
It's
good.
very authentic. Yeah.
And
Good.
not to throw doubt on it, but I'm here because it's you,
Well, thank you,
right?
George.
You teach well. You you give your your input, which is never found unhelpful, and it stops us from digging us ourselves in a bigger hole because we create with our words, right? I mean, the way you do it is so polite. You know, when you want to, you know what I'm saying? I kind of wait for that because it checks me and says, yeah, George, you should, yeah, don't always think about that because it's just dragging you down. I mean, that's how I take it because I need help. That's why I'm here, right? I need someone to help. I need Reiki, someone that's been in it for years to speak to me because I don't want to waste years flopping around over here like I did before. I want to make, I want to be a service to the humans, right? Energy service to humans. I
So,
can if I'm flopping around creating horrible things.
well, you guys have made my day, I have to say. I'm glad to be here.
And we are glad you are here.
And yeah, I almost feel like I want to cry, but not really. I mean, I won't, but I want to, but in a good
Oh,
way. um,
that means it's real.
that means it's real. Yeah, it's a real relationship for sure. And that's why when we gotta we gotta be vulnerable, we gotta let that happen sometimes. And this was my time, and I really appreciate you. And it's you, George and Chris, you really just I feel so seen in a way. I just want to say that. And there's a way in which feeling seen is a much more, it's even more of an authentic feeling of love in a way, than someone trying to love you if they see you. um, so, anyway, that's how I feel right now. And what I really appreciate is that I know I have all these idiosyncrasies. I just, they're part of who I am. But you take them the way that I hope you take them. You receive them in the way that I hope you receive them. And I'm sure when I'm kind of rough around the edges, you're dealing with that in your own individual, graceful, beautiful, loving ways. So, so I really appreciate that a lot. Um, well, then I'm just going to continue to do what I do, but I'll do it a little even more structured. Probably I'll have, to me, what is really so prominent in my days with Reiki and with other things I'm doing is looking at these deeper questions. And it's the biggest part of any session that I do. Um, and I want to I want to share it with you, not as a way to, change what you're doing, but if it informs you in any way that's useful, I want to do it because I feel like what we do in this group is we help lift each other. And I have to imagine that's what the Gakkai was about, that they were his Tendai students. And I keep coming back to that because that's our lineage and that's what we are here for is Reiki. So I'm keeping myself on subject by doing that. But I'm also maybe going to share with you at some point. I'm going to start writing. I'm going to start it with writing down my hospital experience,
Mm.
and I'm going to elaborate on certain aspects of it because there was a lot of symbolism in that experience. The clock fell off the wall, the battery died, time stopped. There were many things that were, individually important aspects of that experience. And I thought, I want to write it down. I'm going to talk to Cynthia about it. Maybe it'll become something that I share with others, but I'll at least share here if you're interested, because I think it's helpful, at least it is for me, as I accept the tenets of these spiritual paths, accept what we're doing, even with Reiki. Like, how can we be? I have to have a way of being authentic, joining with someone in California. How can I be affecting them? I have somebody in California who now at this point, he doesn't even want to get on Zoom. He just says, send me Reiki at 5 o'clock on Thursdays.
Ah,
And he pays for this, right?
Hmm.
So, so to me, it's pulling me deeper. These kinds of things that are happening, they're pulling me deeper into what is really true. What is really true? What is really true? How does that inform what I'm doing? And I think um, Helen said it to me one day. We were actually in a session and she kind of had this download. I don't, she'll probably listen to this so she can correct us if I'm wrong. But I remember out of the blue, she said, "You're going to take Reiki out of the box." Wow, okay. And Helen, that made a mental impression on me if you're listening. Um, And then we didn't talk about it because we were there for her. But I made a little note because I'd been feeling something like that too. I think we are all taking Reiki out of the box. I think that um, not, that everyone in the Reiki community is part of this, um, and beyond. It's consciousness, really. So anyway, I'm going to try to write something useful down to tell the story in a way that helps us heal. That's really what the whole thing is about. That um, we don't have to accept the condition of our reality right now as real and forever. And we don't have to fix it the long, hard way.
It really seems like that's very present right
Okay.
now. Like what is true?
What is true?
What is true?
That's it. You said it to begin with.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. George loves it.
Write a book.
Yes, it'll say, what is true?
Yeah.
I have no idea, but here's a story that might.
You're such a good writer, Laura. I mean,
Yeah, I
so
noticed
good.
that.
I haven't done any writing in a really long time, so we'll see what happens. Um, but it's like I have to get it out. Maybe that's why you guys are taking the brunt.
Huh?
You're like on the I'm teething or something, uh, breaking out of some shell, pecking out of it.
Breaking loose.
Yeah. Um, so we have a few minutes, probably not enough to do a big session, but I could do a group experience if you'd like. Do you want to
Lovely.
do a group? How was the last one? How was the
I got a lot out of that. That was really very good energy for me.
Okay, good. Thank you for the
Yes.
feedback because I did kind of um, a spontaneous Reiki experience. So
Mhm.
I just wanted to check in and see how you guys experienced it. Well, let's do something today, and I think I'll figure it out as we go what we're going to do. Reiki will tell us. And just know that your open hearts and all the love that you bring and share is also creating this experience, and we're all in it together. So I happen to be the mouth, but oh, and I have one more question. Sorry, because I know, but when we're done, we probably won't talk too much, and then we'll say goodbye. But if there's anybody, if either of you are interested in taking the master level class, I'm just thinking about scheduling one for the end of the year or January or something. And I have one person who just reached out to me from someone I don't know. So I want to get it on the calendar. And I know there are a few people that have said at some point they want to take it. So if you're one of those, just let me know in chat or email me or something like that. So, and I'll find a day that, and it could be like multiple Saturdays or Fridays. We don't have to do it 3 days in a row anymore, which is kind of tricky for people who work. Um, so, okay. All right. So let's get comfortable. I think I'll turn my camera off. I probably won't do any music. That seemed to work best for me last time. That way you can hear me. I just feel very blessed by our time together. And I'm putting my hands in Gasho and I'm giving thanks and I'm inviting Reiki to flow even stronger because I feel that it has been flowing today. because Reiki is our a true nature. So go ahead and give yourself some Reiki anywhere. You can put your hands on your body that feels good. Go ahead and do that. And fill yourself up with Reiki energy. Imagine a beautiful ball of Reiki energy above your head and allow it to begin to pour through you and increase the amount that flows inside of you and around your auric field. And then send it out through the bottoms of your feet or through your root chakra down into the earth. And then imagine the earth receives that gratefully and sends you back grounding energy. And this energy is very anchoring and creates a feeling of safety, being safe in your body. This sense of safety and groundedness is so important to the work we're doing. And maybe this could be something that you focus on for the next few days before we see each other again. Grounding yourself, anchoring yourself in a sense of safety, that to be here and now in this body, in this reality, in this appearance is a safe place, a safe time, a safe now. From here, you can be very strong, very calm. From here, your aliveness can move you. That stream of God consciousness, Buddha consciousness, Christ consciousness that manifests as you. From here, in this anchored feeling of safety, that consciousness can move through you and move you. And another way to say it is that this is the way to not abandon yourself, is to stay grounded. So that your gut and your heart and your mind, all three of these aspects of you, they're aligned in a harmonious way. And you function from your wholeness. You function in a way that responds gracefully and spontaneously. And from here, the mind can be calm and it can see thoughts that come in for what they are. These lower thoughts, these grievances or worries or past judgments, future judgments. And by witnessing from this calm, grounded, aligned place, you have a power of choice. You can stay with yourself with a capital S and let those thoughts be released. So that's the bulk of our days, is to stay present to ourself, to our holiness. When I peer out from this aligned space, I'm witnessing my consciousness as it appears around me. And so imagine at night when you go to bed and you have a dream, everything is part of your consciousness in that dream. And dream logic can be very different, but in the dream it seems normal. And then you wake up from that dream and you're in this awareness, but you're still peering out from your consciousness at your consciousness. You're aware of your own consciousness. When you were not present to this awareness in your deep sleep, it didn't exist for you. And now it does. So now you're looking at your awareness from here as it plays out in this state. Tonight, you'll look out from here as it plays out in the sleep state. You see, you're always looking at your own consciousness. When you hear a bird sing, you're hearing it in your own consciousness. So this is the power we have, is to recognize that my consciousness, my pure, unconditioned consciousness, is my God consciousness. That God and what I call myself, my consciousness, they are one and the same. So this, therefore, is holy. It's a holy place to stand as my own consciousness with no conditions. Now see if you can rest in this idea that's actually the truth. That your consciousness is holy. Therefore, the ground upon which you stand is holy ground because it's in your consciousness. Therefore, you can forgive the world in your consciousness because it's in your consciousness. You can release it just like you release your thoughts. You can release the past if it's in your consciousness because it's just a part of the conditioned, and it has no reality to your consciousness, to your holiness. To your love. You can use the words that resonate for you. So therefore, I can look out and see my beautiful self appearing as different forms, appearing as the body that I seem to see when I look in a mirror. Just forms, always changing. Very malleable, coming and going. And also responding to my consciousness. So the more unconditioned my consciousness becomes, the more holiness begins to radiate through the forms that I see, because it's my own holiness. There's a line in the Course in Miracles, it's a lesson in the workbook. My holiness envelops everything I see. My holiness, or my Christ consciousness, or my Buddha, or my unconditioned mind, my love, with a capital L that has no object, my holy love, as in Reiki, envelops everything I see, because everything I see is in my mind, and my mind is love. What if healing is just remembering? Instead of remembering the false, the conditioned, remembering the truth that's always been radiating, shining its light behind the shroud, behind the illusion. We're just remembering the truth, bringing it forward in our awareness. So when I'm with a client or myself or the world, just remembering the Buddha nature, the love that's actually right behind the appearance, that's in my mind, just like those thoughts that seem to be about me, these thoughts that seem to be about someone with an illness or a situation, they are so easily dismissed in favor of the truth right behind them. Because this now is all that's real. There's nothing that caused the disease. There's nothing that caused the situation, nothing real. Because this moment is all that's real. It's all that's ever been real. We're anchoring into the now, right where we find ourselves in our awareness, right in this body, in this time, so to speak. We don't need another future moment. We need to accept that it's always been here. And that acceptance will only happen now. And we're well prepared for this acceptance. It's motivation that makes it possible. 90% motivation that we want peace more than we want this world to be true. This is where miracles happen. I promise you, practice it and come back and report that you want peace more than you want this situation to be true. And just return home to yourself, to the peace. because the situation is in your mind. And now you're remembering the peace that's also in your mind under the shroud that was made to hide it. But the veil or the shroud or the illusion has no power. This peace has the power, and that's what we're proving. So don't go by my words, make them your invitation, and then practice them yourself. Your consciousness, your God consciousness, waking up to itself. Right now, anywhere in your life or your world that you imagine any little scenes of strife or struggle or illness or pain or suffering or guilt or shame or anger, allow a shower of this holy love right over this image, these images. Let it shower you, the body that you seem to be, the image of your body. Let it shower that. Let it shower anything in your past. Let it shower anything in your so-called future, so-called past. The truth is beyond all names, all shapes, all forms, all objects, all ideas. What if all that's happening is our practicing until we are so safe and sure inside of this love that we have no more need to leave it? And then in my awareness, all I can see is this love, this shower of love, or this sun, this radiance of love. And then any non-love is just quietly and gently and lovingly released. In the Course in Miracles, this would be the miracle. And it would also collapse time. So it would, the Holy Spirit, the you that you are in this unconditioned mind, is omnipresent, omniscient. And it vaporizes the timelines that might have seemed to be so sure as cause and effect chains of events and never was true. It was held together in a consciousness of separation. And now we just allow this light to shine through all the appearances, gently erase the forms that result from separation consciousness, just gently erasing them. Quiet. And being very unconcerned at the same time about those forms, just knowing that they get adjusted automatically by this light in a way that's serving the whole. And I just continue to rest in and as myself with a capital S, in and as my God consciousness, my holy love, as we would say in Reiki. From here, you can be so quiet that you can hear the masters. You can hear the inspired voice of the God within you, which they whisper, they're quiet voices that whisper to us. We can just say, I'm here, I'm listening. If I need an idea, I know you'll give it to me. If I need a new approach to my life or a new direction, I know I will be told and I'm listening. I know that you give to me everything necessary for my happy life, that your way is happiness, and that we come to the kingdom completely through happiness. It can be no other way. There is no sacrifice. There is no struggle or strife or pain or guilt or shame. We must ultimately come through happiness, through love and peace and joy. So our readiness and motivation, they're what we bring that allow the outpouring to be received, the outpouring that has never ended. We have just blocked ourselves from it. And now we are opening the door. We are one with our source. I and my Father are one. I and my mother, Father, whatever language works for you. So, in the Reiki box of your mind, If there's anything now that you'd like to surrender, to be healed, and to be made happy, you can go ahead and add it. And now from here on out, once you put it in your Reiki box, I'd like you to take up a challenge. From now on, if the mind thinks about that situation or goal or challenge, it only sees holiness from now on. It only sees love and happiness, wholeness and healing, a picture of God beyond the form that it was appearing as. As you send that Reiki box in your mind or in your reality, as you send it Reiki every day, you're remembering holiness, wholeness. And since life is eternal, love is eternal, you are eternal, and everyone and everything is eternal. Where can the problem be? And this is how you will demonstrate for yourselves that the truth is true. So let it be a happy classroom. While we're still having an awareness of this reality, let it be a happy classroom. Let me be in a lab, a laboratory where I get to discover the power of holiness and then its nature as the one power. And every master has had to go through this discovery. This is the nature of the idea that we take no thought about the day or what we should wear or what we should eat or where we should go or what words we should use. Take no thought, rest in the self, and be the witness of what happens from this place of rest and quiet and peace and happiness and joy. You just witness how your awareness and the contents of your mind unfold. There's an idea that one person, one human consciousness, one human aligned with it, his or her God consciousness, remembering the truth that one is a majority. Therefore, there's nothing to fear. So we bring these beautiful gifts of holy love with us as we go about the rest of our day and weeks. And you can bring your awareness to your eyes when you're ready, and then open your eyes in your own time and come back. It was a beautiful morning with you.
Ditto.
Uh, thank you, thank you. And I'll get to see both of you on Sunday next week, right? For Animal Reiki.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you got your manual, Chris?
Yes, I did.
Excellent.
Yes,
And you
perfect. Thank you.
you got yours, George? Okay, excellent, excellent.
Okay.
Mwah. Thank you,
Thank
thank you,
you.
thank you.
You just
Yes.
be you.
Have a lovely day, everyone.
Okay,
Okay.
See you,
bye-bye.
Chris. Bye bye. Have a
Bye.
great day.